Good morning again, boat lovers. Now I've done a few days work and I've been too lazy to film everything, so I'm going to catch you guys up on where we're up to. Have a look down at the back of the boat, but the best way to see what I've been doing is probably from the inside, so bear with me while we whiz up the ladder here and work our way down to the back of the boat. Probably a little bit dark in here, so you may not see much as I'm wandering through it. Okay, alrighty, so coming down to the back of the boat here, where I do have some lights on, I'll turn the camera around and show you the progress over the last few days. We have the auxiliary tank in place, so it's quite a lot to get that in there because it was millimetre tight between the transom and this bulkhead. I quite literally had to sand that back area down by about a millimetre or half a millimetre to get this tank to slide in properly. Plenty of room on the sides and plenty of voids to get the expanding foam in to hold everything snug in place. But just where those two main supports are down there, they were sticking out a little bit. Anyway, that's in place. And then I've got the main tank. This is my main tank. Get the camera on the right angle. You can see that runs the full width of the boat, or at least the full width of the superstructure of the boat. If I get back a bit, you might be able to see that a bit better, a little bit higher. There we go. So that's more of a bird's eye view. On top of that main tank, we run a shelf, if you like, which is snug with the top of the tank, and then my gas bottles will be fitting in there. And there'll be a lift-up hatch on this side and a lift-up hatch on that side to access the bottles. And this, of course, will be solid across the top here with my fuel inlet. And I've also, as you can probably see, the remnants of the expanding foam, where I've been filling those voids either side of where the access is to the bolts behind the engines. So maybe on this one you can see a little bit better. We've got that hole in the center, which is to be able to get in to get the bolts that hold the outboard in place. And then either side of that, we've got a compartment on each side, and I've got expanding foam in there just to make sure that we don't get any moisture in there or anything like that, and also for sound, so to stop that echoey sound of timber. So when I put the shelves on top of these tanks, I have some rubber soundproof matting which will be going between the tank and the shelf, so that will be sound deadening as well as a moisture barrier, of course. And then I'll be doing the same on the auxiliary tank. So that's what I'm working on this morning, trying to get these shelves in place and everything tied up. I need to buy a little bit more expanding foam just for those voids, but I'll probably be doing that late this afternoon, if not tomorrow. And that's about it. So that is what I'm up to in the boat shed today. Hello boat lovers, welcome aboard. I'm Steve and I'm single-handedly building Dragonfly. She's a 53 foot or 16.2 metre flat bottom wooden riverboat. She includes twin outboards, aft cabin, galley, a saloon, wheelhouse, separate head and shower, and a centerline queen double up front. She's specifically designed for the sheltered and inland waters of the River Murray here in South Australia. Join us each week to watch the mayhem and madness of one man and his rescue dog building a massive 53 foot flat bottom wooden riverboat. I should have also mentioned that this edge here I cut too low. It's supposed to be the same height as this edge, so I need to cut a piece to go in there that fits all the way across. I don't know why I cut it down like that, but I did. I need to cut a piece to fit there and biscuit join that and glue that into place. Make sure that's all nice and solid. Alrighty, let's get out of the boat. Exiting via one of the 2 ladders and find where I have this rubber soundproof matting. It's actually the same rubber I think that they use under engine bonnets and engine rooms, etc. So that should be quite good, but I need to find it. From memory, it's in a couple of rolls and I'm darned if I know where I put it. I don't think I'll bore you with looking for that. All right, well, just measuring up there to put the base plate on top of the fuel tank. I'm going to lay that rubber insulation down first, get that cut and stuck into place, and then the same for the auxiliary tank. And once I've got that rubber down in place, then I'll cut myself some marine ply and wet out the bottom side of it and stick that into place. So then I have a nice solid shelf for putting things on, etc. So obviously I'm just cleaning up all that expanding foam, which has done a great job of holding everything nicely in place. So it'll do a couple of things. It's going to help for the insulation and also of course for any movement, and also it means there's no voids anywhere that can hold moisture or anything like that. So just get that all tidied up, and as I say, then I'll cut the rubber insulation and put all that into place. I found that little spatula really handy actually. I've had that for a long time and it's a bit of a multi-tool for me. Yeah, that was really handy, and to my surprise the expanding foam didn't stick too badly. It wasn't too hard to get off plywood. Yeah, so much easier than I expected. It'd be nice if I could work at this speed in real life. I think it would take about a week and the boat would be built, which would be great. I'm going on for a bit over 2 years now, and I have to say that the motivation goes up and down, but most of the time I seem to stay pretty well up and on top of things, and it certainly helps that I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The basic structure of the boat is done, the shape is there, all the main furniture and all that main construction on the interior is done. As you're probably aware, with this sort of construction, with epoxy and marine ply, this particular boat build, everything that you see inside the boat is also part of the strength and the framework. So people might say, oh, you know, where are your bulkheads or where are the frames? And everything that you see furniture-wise is part of that. For example, the bed, the double bed up the front, is also a water tank, but it's all baffled in 2 directions and fiberglassed into place. So that forms a really rigid and solid framework that could otherwise be what people might see as half bulkheads or framework under a floor. And then, for example, the little mini wardrobes in the bedroom, as between the bedroom and the bathroom, they form half bulkheads as well. Well, actually ceiling to floor bulkheads, but of course there's a doorway in the middle. And then when we step up from there to the bathroom floor, you're stepping up about 150 mil or 6 inches, and under that floor is all crisscrossed, framed with plywood. So again, that's a really solid lot of framing that people never get to see. And so it pretty much continues like that through the whole build. All the bench seats and cabinets are all structural. They're all epoxied and fiberglass taped into place, and just as you would with framing or bulkheads. So that is very common in this type of construction, and I've found it to work extremely well. I built my last boat that was similar to this over 20 years ago, with the same construction method, and that boat has been sitting in the water for over 20 years and came out for a full inspection about 6 months ago, a full in and out of water inspection from a marine surveyor, and they couldn't find a thing wrong with it anywhere at all. And so that's given me a lot of confidence to go ahead and continue that same method here. The construction method's pretty common. It's used on all sorts of boats, cruisers, yachts, all sorts of things. It's really just ply and epoxy construction, and then protecting the plywood with a layer of glass after it's all in place. Anyway, here I'm just putting that rubber insulation matting, sticking that down to the tank, and as I say, then you see in a minute I'm going to put some plywood shelving over the top. This is just a peel and stick, and I have to say it was really easy to use, super lightweight, and I think it's really automotive industry standard stuff that goes under car bonnets and things like that. So not essential to really even have it here, but I just thought it's a great way to protect the surface of the fuel tank, as well as a little bit of sound and heat or cold insulation. So that's just, a way of bedding that tank into place, keeping it nice and snug and insulated. Also, you can probably see just where my tape measure is lying there beside me, those holes. The center hole is going to have an inspection plate, so I can get my hand in there to get to the bolts on the back of the outboard mounting bracket, and the two little holes either side are to be able to get the pouring foam into those side compartments. So this just for soundproofing and strength, etc. I'll probably put some sort of soft insulation in where the inspection plate is, just to fill up the void. Alrighty, we'll get these this board notched out so it fits in place, because this is going to sit there as a shelf with an end that comes up, which makes a completely self-contained area, and this is where the generator is going to go. Or at least that's the plan at this stage. Somebody suggested I should have a clip-on mic for my videos, and I do have one, and I use it sometimes, but it's a bit tricky because the batteries in those little mics can go flat fairly quickly and you don't get any warning. So quite often I've done a bit of a spiel on something and explained a whole lot of stuff, and then I find out later it hasn't recorded any sound. So it's one of those things. I am going to use it more often, but I have to keep an eye on the battery status. If you guys have got any tips about how to make those batteries last longer or something, or how I keep my eye on that, that'd be great. So this compartment that I'm making to hold the generator will have some big vents in the side to let the heat out from the generator. In fact, I'm probably going to have a fan, like a ceiling fan, that's in the side of generator housing, and it'll be wired up so whenever the generator is on, that fan is running, which will be pumping lots of air through that compartment so the generator doesn't overheat, and that will also help get rid of any exhaust fumes in there, etc. Alright, let's get this cut out. Basically just cutting out the same shape here as I did with the little rubber soundproof matting. Using that under this board is not really for soundproofing, it's just to fill that space between the top of the tank and this, just to give the tank a little bit of padding on the top and make everything a snug fit. But I will be lining the sides of all this area and this surface with that soundproofing rubber, as well as all the engine bays and everything else, to try and keep as much sound away from that lovely back seating area of the boat as possible. So here we go. Right, apparently if it's got a cord on it, you have to plug it in. once I've cut this out, make sure it fits, etc., and I get the other piece ready, I'll have to wet out the underside before I put it in place. Any of these surfaces that you see with just a bare tip, well, with an epoxy timber finish, they'll all get coated in a two-pack paint. So all the inside all the lockers and all those places will have a nice two-pack epoxy white paint in them. So it's easy to keep them clean, easy to wipe down, and if I use white inside those spaces, it just reflects the light, so when you open the locker it's easy to see in there if it's all done in white as opposed to light grey or something like that. Alright, let's get this in place. Just so you guys know, I broke my little tripod that I used for the GoPro camera. So for the benefit of you guys watching this, I'm carrying one of my microphone stands from the studio up and down the ladder and moving that all over the place so I can get this camera in a position where you can see what's going on. In fact, I'll take the camera off the stand so I can show you what I'm lugging around. So there's my microphone stand. Give you an idea, that's full size, so that's pretty much the same size as me. So previously I've been using one of these little tripod stands for the GoPro, which is great. I can put it in all sorts of positions and film everything. But I bumped it the other day and broke one of the legs off. And so I'm going back to my original method of filming, which is using this microphone stand, which works really well. It's really adjustable and everything, but it's just annoying because I have to carry it and set it up everywhere every time I show you guys something. So later today, I think I'm going to go try and find myself a camera shop or hardware store or something and get myself a new little tripod for the camera. Unlike a lot of YouTubers who are very professional, not like me, I've just got one GoPro camera. I use that for everything. So when you see all these sort of camera shots from different angles, that's because I've stopped what I'm doing, taken my gloves off, cleaned the glue up on my hands, get the camera, put it into a different position, put the gloves back on, start gluing again. So I'm moving the one camera around constantly to get all these different angles for you. So I hope you appreciate it. All right, I'm going to put this back on the stand. I'll have the camera looking down from the top of the boat so we can see if that piece of wood that I just cut fits into the space. Hopefully it does. Alrighty, so hopefully that's in the spot where you can see this. We'll find out if it fits. I've intentionally left a little gap around it so I can get a good bead of epoxy in it. Almost there. Almost. I'll just do a little bit of trimming here. Trim that up and we'll be back again. If I can pick it up. Well, hello again, boat lovers. I've been getting a lot of work done lately without filming because sometimes I just have to get stuck in and get the job done. I've been working, I think as you saw previously, still on that transom area, but making great progress. Almost finished the engine bays completely. Just had to do a little bit of tidy up with some of the rough edges of the fiberglass, get that all done. I've been also working on the hot water service area on the outside of the boat because I'm about to put my gas lines and things through. I have to put the lines through at this stage, even though it's quite early, but I have to put the first lot of the lines through because they run through the gunnels, and once I put the decks on, of course I won't be able to get to those lines. I will have some inspection hatches where I can get to any joins like T-pieces and things like that, but the long lengths of copper, etc., it's not really a retrofit situation. So I've been tidying up the hot water service area, ready to put the hot water service unit in, or at least to install it, get everything right, then take it out again, do all my wetting out, everything I have to do. But I just got to make sure all the plumbing for that is exactly in the right place. So I'll turn the camera around and just show you where I've been working on that this morning. Here we go. So you probably saw this cut out before, but now I've framed it all up. Nice little alcove there where the hot water service, one of those continuous instant hot water service is going to be. And that will have a louver door on the front for venting, possibly a vent through the top, although not really required. And I'm going to line the inside of this area with cement board as well, just for extra heat proofing. Although these units don't actually get terribly hot, all the heat comes out the front of them, and around the back, etc., where they join to the wall, stays quite cool. So it might be a bit of overkill, but I'm a bit of a safety nut in that area. So I'm going to line it, make sure it's all completely heat proof, and we'll have an access door on the front, some sort of door, like a louver door or something that sort of looks like it's meant to be on the boat. That's for access. And then I'll show you down the back here where I've been finishing this engine bay area. Well, let's get some lights on. This is a little bit dark. Sorry about that, guys. That's better. It's another ladder job. As I say, lots of progress being made, but sometimes I just don't have the beans to get this camera out and film with things that I'm doing, especially when I'm doing epoxy work and I'm covered in glue and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty tricky. But I'll turn the camera around and give you a squiz where we're up to. Here we go. Now I know you've seen me working on some of this, but I'll give you a bit of a close-up. So that's where the generator is going to go, in there. I'm going to wet that out today, make sure that's all sealed nicely. I've clamped some boards on the sides there ready to screw the decks into. Along there. This area where the gas bottles is going to go, along here, just going to be I'm just going to have 2 gas bottles here, which is more than enough for what I require. At the other end of this will be just rope storage and locker space. So the gas line, there'll be a regulator here. The gas line is going to run along through here. One line going to the back of the boat where we'll have a bayonet fitting for the barbecue, so you can just plug your barbecue into that. And then the other pipe work runs along the gunnels through into the hot water service, the fridge and the stove. So right now I'm just about to wet all this area out, ready for running those gas lines and things, and then that will probably be it for today. That is definitely it for this week. Thanks again for watching. As usual, please, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It's free. Maple and I will hopefully see you guys in another week or so. I know it's been about 3 weeks for this video because I've been a little bit slack. Hopefully we get the next one out sooner rather than later and show you a bit more progress on the boat. Have a great week, take care, and we'll see you soon.